Alabama rolls into Athens, Georgia, and takes down the Dogs 24-21, the final score. This was a Ryan Grubb masterclass on the offensive side of the football for the Crimson Tide. Kudos to Kalen DeBoer, because remember all of the things we were saying about Alabama after they had lost to Florida State? And instead, he goes into Athens, SEC play, massive game, and what's turned into arguably the best rivalry in the Southeastern Conference in this generation of college football. And they take it to him. And Alabama looks so good all night. Quarterback Ty Simpson was elite. I'm talking NFL level elite in this game. I truly believe after watching Ty Simpson play against Georgia, he looked like the best quarterback in college football. I mean, he looked next level. And I want to break down some of the numbers here for you, because Bama gets off to this awesome start. They start 7-7 on third down in this game in 2 possessions to go up 14-0. And it just felt like Ty Simpson's pulse was steady the entire time. I mean, it was just so impressive how they were able to chunk their way down the field. Simpson to Horton, that connection was unbelievable. Ryan Williams later in the game makes up for some oopsies really throughout the whole early portion of the season. He goes through a car crash and hangs on to the football in the fourth quarter. I mean, there's so much we can dive into with this game, so I want to toss the keys to you. But overarching here, I was just so impressed with Alabama's readiness to play, how physically ready they were to play, and then how precise Ty Simpson was at quarterback.
Yeah, you got to start with Alabama because they won the game. They deserve the respect. They're now, we said this game means probably more to Alabama because they can completely flip the narrative with one game and one performance. That's what they did, particularly on offense. The story of this game was their offense.
Yeah.
I understand Georgia's defense is not what we've come to expect, right? We saw them get gashed by Tennessee. So I'm not surprised that Alabama moved the ball on them. I'm surprised by how efficient it was and how early it started. I mean, they scored on their first 2 drives. They were up 14-0 before you blinked. And these were they weren't necessarily explosive drives. They were methodical.
Yes.
They're doing it on the ground with Jam Miller. They're doing it through the air with Ty Simpson. It could have been quick if Ryan Williams didn't drop that pass, that deep shot early I think it was in the first quarter.
Yes.
So they were getting everything that they wanted offensively. And to your point, Ty Simpson looked like an NFL quarterback. I mean, every single drive he had a throw that I was like, it's NFL level execution from the pre-snap to going through his progressions. He was going 1, 2, 3 and hitting his backside read several times throughout the game.
Yeah.
And these Alabama wide receivers stepped up and made plays. They took advantage of Georgia's inconsistency on defense. And I mean, we've got really, really big problems on that Georgia defense, which again, we can talk about it. We've been able to talk about, I should say, for a while now. I do think that third downs where the game was won and lost. There was a time, you said they started 7 for 7. There was a time where they were 12 of 14 on third down. It was everything that they wanted.
They went 13-19 for the game. 13-19.
Yeah, they slowed down scoring. So Alabama did not score in the second half of this game because Georgia kind of caught up defensively. And I do want to say, I think Georgia lost to 2 teams on Saturday night. I think they lost to Alabama, and they also lost to themselves. There was every opportunity for Georgia to come back and take a lead in that game.
Sure.
But, the true freshman receiver drops that pass that Stockton puts in a bucket. And then I think on the next drive, they drive deep into Alabama territory. They try and go quick and catch them napping on a 4th and 1. They run an outside run that's completely snuffed out. I think it was LT Overton who made that play for Alabama.
Yep.
They had every opportunity to come back and win that game, and they just couldn't because the defense caught up and kept them in it in the second half. But because the offense was unable to do anything with it, then Alabama goes on that late drive and puts the game away again with that methodical thing that we saw early in the game. So Alabama starts and ends the game offensively perfectly in such a way that even if their defense slipped up a little bit, Georgia couldn't take advantage of it. Bama said, all right, if you guys don't want to win it, we'll do it ourselves.
Listen to these first two drives for Alabama. I mean, seriously. 14 plays, 74 yards, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. That's after Georgia goes 3 and out to start the game in 49 seconds. Second Alabama drive after Georgia punts in 4 plays. 14 plays, 83 yards, 6 minutes and 57 seconds. I mean, that if you're a Georgia fan, you have to be thinking in your head, here we go again. Thinking about last year's game, right? Where they just took it to them. But that's a different level of methodical. 14 plays, taking almost 7 minutes off the clock both times. One of them 75 yards, the other one 83 yards. I mean, those are big boy, take it to you, punch you in the face kind of drives that take up almost a quarter of football. Crazy. And I think
it's hard to get punched in the mouth and pick yourself up again. But Georgia, to their credit, was able to do that, right? They respond with that touchdown by Colby Young, right, to make it 14-7, and then they get the ball back. That was a heck
of a move with the single coverage when he gets open there. That was a heck of a move.
And then they get the ball back because the defense gives them the ball back, but they fumbled it right back to Alabama, and then again you're down 2 possessions. Like that's why again I feel like Georgia lost to themselves. Like Kirby will be the first person to tell you that Georgia doesn't play up to their standard in a game. Like they deserve to lose. They were the inferior team.
Yeah.
It was very, very, very apparent in a game like this, where it's not like last year where you can say, oh, they dug themselves into that hole, then they came back, but then they threw a pick at the end of the game after Ryan Williams makes that play. Like there's 3 or 4 different instances where you can point to a spot for Georgia and say, if they just had not done this, there's a real shot they could have won. Now, did they deserve to lose? I do think absolutely. But they could not take advantage of anything that was given to them either, and I think that's a problem.
The 13 third down conversions for Alabama was the most against a Georgia defense in 30 years.
That's insane.
Insane. And on top of that, penalties. Remember Kalen DeBoer in Alabama came in as penalties being a serious problem for them and one of the most penalized teams in power conference football. 4 penalties for 16 yards. Georgia, only 6 penalties. So compared to 4, it's like, but 68 yards in penalties.
Yeah. Very untimely.
That's a huge contrast in this game. 16 yards to 68 yards in penalties. And then you mentioned it. Taylon Taylor, the true freshman, drops the wide open 50-yard touchdown. It's a perfect throw from Gunnar Stockton. I mean, it was a beautiful throw. Georgia ends up punting there. At that point, the score was 24-21. So that definitely shifted the tides of this thing. Because Georgia would have taken the lead on that play.
Yeah, and again, timeliness, because Ellis Robinson pulls like, the diving headbutt essentially on the unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness at the end of the game to give Alabama better field position. And at that point, Georgia was still behind the 8 ball with timeouts, but that was an idiotic penalty from a kid who should know better. I know he's just a freshman, but you got to know better.
Yeah.
So again, I feel like Georgia lost to 2 teams, but that's not a statement you ever want to have about your team, that they beat themselves. But Alabama deserves the lion's share of who beat Georgia on Saturday night, because they took it to them. To your point, they were the better team in every single facet, except for the missed kick early in the game, which, by the way, was like the funniest, most badly missed kick I've ever seen in my life. It was like the only mistake Alabama made all night, because anything that again, Ryan Williams has that drop, but makes up for it later. When Georgia made mistakes, they could not make up for them. They always felt like they were behind the 8 ball. And Gio, I honestly think this comes down to the fact that the Bulldogs have a mental block against the Crimson Tide. You see it so many times that a team just fails to execute against a certain opponent because the moment feels too big for them or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Tennessee against Georgia.
Exactly. We've seen it now, almost for a decade now in that rivalry, right? A team, no matter if the game's in Athens or Tuscaloosa or Atlanta or Mars, you just have a mental block that doesn't allow you to succeed. And we keep seeing that time and time again with Georgia. It's just the nature of this rivalry. They are unable to win it. I am baffled by it, but it's one of those things where we should be disappointed, but not surprised.
I thought that Josh Pate put it really well when talking about Kirby Smart in Georgia, in this scenario that we're living in a modern world of college football where the times are changing. No longer are you going to be able to stockpile the rosters that a place like Georgia and before them Alabama and these elite programs. And really, when you think about it, there was like one or two. It wasn't like a 5-horse race. It was like Georgia for their run, Alabama for their run, and like Clemson for their run. Like I'm talking dynastic stockpiling of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And those days are gone. That's not something you can do anymore. And so if Georgia doesn't have that, how are they going to adapt? That's going to be the challenge for Kirby Smart and company because talent-wise and just roster depth-wise, this is not the same. This is not the same program that it once was. So now you have to win on Saturday. And that comes down to coaching a lot of time. You can't lean on this stockpile of talent anymore. You have to have the guys that can go be dudes and win on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the challenge.
Their coordinators are leaving left and right. I mean, Todd Monken now in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens. So like in Kirby's elite, but often the head coach position at in the college ranks is like a CEO position.
Right.
It's really the guys under you who are making things happen between the lines. And right now, Georgia doesn't have the guys wearing the headsets that can make things happen between, no matter how talented they might be. And then to your point, I also think their defensive talent is not what it once was, because even though you're bringing in high-level athletes, the coaching is just not there. And I think this is a situation where the coaching seems to be there for Alabama. On the one hand, I'm like, wow, Florida State looks better after this. But then on the other hand, Florida State just lost to Virginia. So I think this is just a great situation for Alabama to be in, where they're like, hey, look, we are still not dead in the water. And I think, honestly, I know they're not the highest ranked team right now because other teams above them in the conference have losses. I think they're 10 now. Yeah. I think Alabama right now should be viewed as the best team in the SEC, in my opinion.
I 1,000,000,000,000% agree with you. I do think after watching that Saturday that they're the best team in the SEC. We can also say about Georgia, though, Georgia probably should have another loss under their belt. Kirby was the first to say they should have lost at Tennessee.
Yeah, they're the fourth down Gunnar Stockton throw away from being, what, 2-2?
So, or a made field goal by Tennessee.
That's true.
They're a made field goal away. And that's out of their control.
And this is coming off a year where they lost 2 games in 2024.
Right.
Could have lost more if it wasn't for the Georgia Tech game or some other stuff that they got away with down the stretch. So, yeah, listen, the last thing I'll say about Georgia, it's just funny because I saw a lot of TikToks about it, is no amount of playing the all quiet on the Western Front soundbite, the horns, like on every defensive play, is going to make your defense play any better. I feel bad for the Georgia students or anybody that was at the game. Anybody who watched the game with the sound on, bro, I'm like, I cannot listen to this one more time. I cannot listen to this sound effect one more time. How about instead of playing that sound effect to make opposing offenses scared of you, you coach and play better on defense to make opposing offenses scared of you.
There you go. There you go. You feel better now?
I do, dude. It was every play. It was every play.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't pick up on that,
dude. The horn that's like da na na, like every play. It boggled my mind.
I'll have to pay better attention next time, I guess.
I'll send you. Somebody's gonna make a cut up of every time they played it. It's gonna be like a 10-minute video. I swear to God.
All right. Well, Alabama takes down Georgia. Huge win for the Crimson Tide. Question marks moving forward for the Dogs.